So, what if you could see the invisible? I'm not talking science fiction here. I'm talking about real technology that can look deep inside our food and reveal secrets that are completely hidden from the human eye. Today, we're going to break down how this supervision is set to change everything you think you know about what's on your plate. Just think about the last time you were at the grocery store, right? You probably gave an avocado a little squeeze, maybe it tapped on a melon, or looked for that perfect bright red on a strawberry. But what are we actually seeing when we do that?
Well, the truth is, we're really just judging a book by its cover. Our eyes see in only 3 basic bands of color: red, green, and blue. But what if you could see in hundreds of colors? Imagine being able to see the unique chemical fingerprint of anything you look at. That's exactly where this incredible technology comes into play.
Yeah, that hidden world, that's where the real story of our food is. And it's the source of a massive problem, because so much of what actually determines quality and safety is completely invisible to us.
When we can't see inside, things get missed. We're talking about microbial spoilage that hasn't even shown up on the surface yet, or tiny contaminants, or even straight-up fraud, like when cheaper meat gets passed off as something premium. This all leads to just staggering amounts of food waste, and even more seriously, it poses some very real risks to our health.
So how in the world do you solve a problem of sight? Well, you build a system with senses that are way beyond our own. So let's meet the super eyes and the super brain that are totally shaking up food inspection.
And here they are, the perfect partnership. On one side, you've got the super eyes. That's hyperspectral imaging, or HSI for short. It's capturing just a flood of complex data. But, all that information is pretty useless without the super brain, artificial intelligence, to instantly decode it and tell us what it all means. Okay, so what exactly is hyperspectral imaging? Well, in simple terms, it's basically a technology that combines a really powerful digital camera with something called a spectrometer. And what that means is, for every single pixel in an image, it doesn't just see color, it captures an entire spectrum of light, a unique chemical fingerprint. And the crucial part? It does all this without ever touching or damaging the food. This really shows you the difference. The camera in your phone, it sees the world in 3 broad channels: red, green, and blue. An HSI system, on the other hand, captures hundreds of very specific narrow bands of light, and it goes way beyond what we can see, into the near infrared. This is what lets it see the chemical makeup of an object, not just its surface color. And what you get is something called a hypercube. Now, this might look a little complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. You have the 2 dimensions of a normal picture, right? Height and width. But now you get a 3rd dimension, hundreds and hundreds of layers of light data. So you can literally click on any single point on that apple and see its complete hidden spectral signature. It's an absolutely mind-boggling amount of information.
Okay, so having all that data is one thing, but how does it actually turn into a useful decision? Like, this blueberry is fresh, or this meat is authentic. Let's follow the data's journey.
It all boils down to this 4-step process. First, the HSI camera scans the food, and that captures the raw hypercube data. Second, and this is super important, that noisy data gets cleaned up. Third, the system zooms in on the most important parts of that light signature, the key chemical clues. And then finally, the AI brain analyzes those specific clues to make a super fast, super accurate prediction.
And that second step, cleaning the data, you just can't overstate how important it is. As the researchers say directly, the raw data from the camera is full of noise, little errors from the sensor or the lighting, and that noise can completely throw off the AI. You have to get rid of it first.
A really great way to think about it is like tuning an old radio. The pre-processing step gets rid of all the static and interference, so the AI can hear the music, which in this case is the true chemical signature of the food. Without this step, the whole system just doesn't work.
So that's the theory. But how well does this duo of super eyes and a super brain actually perform out in the real world? This is where the story gets really, really exciting.
Honestly, the results are stunning. Just look at this. Studies have shown the system can spot spoilage in blueberries with over 97% accuracy. It can classify different types of grains with over 99% accuracy, and it can even identify fake ingredients in minced meat with over 96% accuracy. I mean, that's a level of precision that traditional methods just can't even get close to.
And in some cases, it's literally perfect. One study looked at authenticating mutton rolls to see if they'd been mixed with cheaper pork or duck. The HSI and AI model, it was able to tell the difference with 100% accuracy. Flawless.
And the applications are just so broad. This same basic tech is being used for everything from assessing how fresh fish is, to finding fungal contamination on corn, to predicting the protein content in a single chickpea, even spotting microscopic cracks in eggs that are totally invisible to our eyes.
So this technology clearly has the potential to transform our food supply, all the way from the farm to our fork. But what has to happen to get it out of the lab and into every factory, every supermarket, and maybe, one day, into our homes?
Well, there are still some hurdles to clear. The equipment is still pretty expensive, and processing these gigantic hypercubes of data takes a whole lot of computing power. The AI also needs massive, really well-labeled data sets to learn from. And, a model that's trained in a perfect lab setting doesn't always work perfectly on a messy, fast-moving factory floor. But even with those challenges, the main takeaway is crystal clear. As the source material concludes, this combination of technologies, it isn't just an improvement, it's nothing short of a revolution for food quality and safety. Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. As this technology gets smaller and cheaper and more powerful, what happens next? Imagine a world with dramatically less food waste because we can catch spoilage early. Imagine a much safer global supply chain. And what if, in the not-so-distant future, you could just point your phone at an apple to see its exact nutritional content, or scan a piece of fish to know for certain how fresh it is? That's the future this supervision could unlock for every single one of us.